Two points I'd like to make. One is the developing idea that not all high density lipoprotein is good lipid. And I would go along wholeheartedly with that based on the literature that high density lipoprotein in a patient who's undergoing an inflammatory seizure would probably be not a protective high density lipoprotein. We usually think of high density lipoprotein as the good lipid and low density lipoprotein as the bad lipid. But now, from what we've learned from the literature and experiments, we now know there's a bit of a grey area. The good stuff can be the bad stuff. And so there's an important part of investigation that has to be funded to evaluate what it is about the lipoprotein particle that renders a good lipid a bad lipid. And from that standpoint, from that knowledge, we can go forward with understanding treatment regimens better and consequently patient care. Another thing I'd like to say is I'd like to put in a bit of a bid, if you like, for more people to consider the sanity of raising high density lipoprotein. So for the last 30 years we've lowered low density lipoprotein, and to all intents and purposes the American groups have lowered it as far as they can go, and still we have not lowered cardiovascular incidence more than 40%. There's still a large population of patients out there with low density lipoproteins who have a cardiovascular risk. So the question is, how can we reduce that residual high risk? And as far as I can see at this point, the most potent way forward is to consider raising high density lipoprotein. And there are now a couple of products in development with that intention. And they are indeed the cholesterol ester transfer protein inhibitors, which have been shown to raise high density lipoprotein. Unfortunately, the CETP inhibitors had a rather bad start in life with the Pfizer product, which had an off-drug effect of inducing hypertension through increasing aldosterone synthesis. And so that was a very, very sad story, but I don't think that it's reason enough to negate the value of raising high density lipoprotein through this drug family. And there are two products in the process of development that we should at least spend some time considering and endorsing. And we should, as a research unit, as a hospital, certainly be involved in developing those ideas. And given our previous history in understanding high density lipoprotein as a cardioprotective lipoprotein, we should certainly be in the front of assisting in the development of those drugs as well. The two drugs in development, the two cholesterol ester transfer inhibitor protein drugs under development at the moment, anacetrapib is being developed by Merck, and the other one, dalcetrapib, is being developed by Roche. And although the Roche products are in advance in terms of their research and class of study, I think the Merck product, the anacetrapib, has been shown to be giving better tolerance in large group studies. But the jury is not out, and we need to focus on evaluating the outcomes of those studies.